Previously on Chaos Head Noah.
あの時の将軍のリンク写真。
Oh yeah, he also sent a picture of that, didn't he? So, that photo was indeed a photo of a future event, is what you're saying to me, huh? So here's my question. How was Shogun able to get photos like that? Without meaning to, I'd said that out loud. Without realizing how dangerous, or even deadly, that mistake could be. In response to my voice, her shoulder twitched slightly. And with that, she slowly turned to face me. In that moment, it was as if her gaze was piercing straight through me. Such desolate eyes. She had just killed someone. How do you know my name? Suddenly, she called me by name. Even though I never told her my name. Even though I never even met her before.
あなたに会いたかった。
As she looked at me, her lips twisted into a horrifically fearsome smile. Almost like she was a demon. Screaming at the top of my lungs, I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. It hurt to breathe, but I didn't care. I just kept screaming and running as if my life depended on it. At one point along the way, I turned my head to look behind me, but she didn't seem to be chasing me.
頭がおかしいよ。でもどうしてそれを僕に。そもそもあの女はナイトハルトが僕だってどうやって知った。僕の名前をどうやって知った。
Ugh. What was I supposed to do? That demon would definitely come kill me soon. If she already knew my name, email, and all that stuff, there was a very good chance she knew my home address too. I curled up into the fetal position in my chair. The image of that twisted murder was etched into my mind. How could I stay calm when I could end up that way too?
死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない死にたくない
叫びはいつしか沈黙に変わって
Suddenly, Fess looked up to the night sky. The clouds covering it were starting to clear up, little by little, leaving space for the moonlight to shine through in their wake. But sadly, any and all starlight was completely drowned out by the dazzling neon of Shibuya.
落ちてゆく安息風に手と手をつないで
Fess halted her song, then slowly reached her hand out toward the sky.
その目誰の目
Here's that saying again.
生存確認
This baby-faced runt was my little sister. She was a year younger than me.
呼んでるんだから返事くらいしてよね。お兄死んじゃったかもって思ったじゃん。
Of course, the first thing out of her mouth was bitching. Is that what you call it? It just sounds like plain concern to me. And to make things worse, she was standing there with her hands on her hips, like the bratty little shit she was. The spitting image of irritating. I don't know, I look at this and I think the exact opposite of irritating. I think, fun times ahead. Her existence brought me nothing but suffering. And I have a feeling I'm going to like having her around just for that reason alone.
うわ、あ 相変わらず部屋の中汚。ちょっとは片付けなよ。
No, unfortunately.
せっかく心配して様子を見に来てあげてるのに。お兄ってずっとここに引きこもって誰とも喋らずに一日を終えちゃうことだってあるんでしょ。女の子と話す機会だってどうせ全くないんだよね。
Shut up. Stop making fun of me, you stupid bitch. I'm not into 3D girls, so why would I ever bother talking to them?
言ってみればお兄と話す女の子はナナだけってことじゃん。だからさ、もっとナナのこと大事にしてよ。そしたら女の子との接し方もちょっとは分かってくるはずだし。
While she was nagging, Nanami picked up one of my figures, Hikaru-tan from the Suicide for Hikari, and started staring at it. Damn it, don't touch my waifu without asking. If you leave even a single fingerprint on her, I will actually beat the shit out of you.
あと、お兄は自分のことにもっと気を使って。こんなお人形さんにうつつを抜かしてる場合じゃないよ。ナナはお兄の死体の第一発見者になんかなりたくないからね。
However, as I went to leave, my eye caught a glimpse of the text on their monitor, and I froze. All things New Gen. And if that wasn't enough, it was written in the most sickening font, as if it was trying to freak me out. New Gen. I've been deliberately avoiding any and all info about those cases. I really didn't want to know anything more about them. As long as I kept avoiding them, I could keep telling myself that they had nothing to do with me. No, forget about that. More importantly, the customer next door to me was looking at a site lining out everything about New Gen. Was it just a coincidence? Or did it mean something? For a moment, the face of the demon girl flashed through my mind, sending goosebumps across my entire body. I shook my head violently, trying to force those horrible thoughts away. I was just overthinking it. Yeah, I had to be. Nobody was out to get me. I was just being paranoid. New Gen was pretty much all the media talked about lately. By this point, anyone would be interested in it. I took my cup and headed back toward my seat. On the way, I casually glanced down the hall toward the bathrooms. That's when... Well, look who it is. I saw a girl's figure disappear into the corridor. She'd been wearing a sume uniform and had glasses on her face. I recognized her. It was the same girl that had been tailing me this morning. Girl A. I thought I might have been mistaken, so I hid behind some bookshelves and looked toward that corridor for a while. But she never showed up again. Must have just been my imagination. Yeah, it had to have been. I'd only seen her for half a second after all. This place was typically swarming with sume girls, and plenty of them wore glasses. But what if it had been Girl A? If she was here, what would that mean? Good question. What would it mean for us? Clearly she's interested in you. What I want to know is why. And so it continues. Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Chaos Head Noah. So, there was some slight audio issues in the last episode, and I did a little investigating into it, and I think I found out the cause. It was some background noise caused by an appliance or two in my room that I thought the mic wouldn't be able to pick up, but turns out it could. And I just haven't noticed it before because, well, between The Devil and G-String, the last series I covered before this one, and Higurashi When They Cry, there's rarely a moment of silence to where I'm likely to notice anything like that in being picked up by the mic post-production, so I guess I just never noticed it before. Either that or maybe the old mini fridge is just starting to show its age and get a little noisier as time goes on, and maybe I need to do a little bit of maintenance on it. I honestly don't know at this point, and right now I can't be bothered to really think about it too deeply. Point is, what I've done is I've turned the mini fridge off, and I've also adjusted my mic settings a little bit to give my mic a bass boost and other such changes. So hopefully what this is going to translate into is you guys not being able to hear any background noise at all from my end, and therefore the audio you guys will be able to you'll be able to hear from the game, especially during quiet moments, will sound as close to pure and unmuffled from me as possible, for lack of a better word. I know there's a better word out there, but my brain fails me. It's not reliable, my brain. I'm sure a couple of you guys probably noticed by now. Those of you who might be new to this channel of mine here and unfamiliar with me in particular. So, with all that out of the way, I don't think there's anything more for me to add, so why don't we go ahead and get back to our game of cat and mouse between ourselves and Girl A. At least until Pink Hair shows up again, in which case, well, we might have a three-way cat and mouse game going on. And that could be very interesting. I left the cafe and started rushing back to my base. In the end, my anxiety had been too much to handle, and I left almost immediately after I saw the girl. I wanted to get home as soon as possible, but the crowd sideways were slowing me down. Sidewalks, excuse me, I don't know where I got ways. I was feeling sicker and sicker by the minute. I hated crowds. I always felt like people were watching me and snickering. Self-conscious much? A red pedestrian signal stopped me in my tracks. As I waited for the light to change again, I couldn't help but take a quick look around. I didn't see Girl A anywhere. As soon as I reached the top of Dogenzaka, walking got a lot easier. Usually I would take the least crowded way back, but after what happened 2 nights ago, I figured I should stick to the main streets. Just to be safe. A wise decision. I was stuck at a red light again, so I took another look behind me. But Girl A was still nowhere to be found. The girl I'd seen at Cafe might have been a different person after all. Feeling a bit relieved, I let my tense shoulders relax a little, then turned back around. There she is! I see we got a delusion trigger choice this time. Why don't I try picking a green one and see what happens now? Shocked, I took a step back. On the other side of the crosswalk, standing among the crowd, waiting for the light to change, was the girl. And to make matters worse, the gaze beyond those glasses was clearly pointed straight at me. I don't know, I see nothing but white in those lenses. She didn't even try to look away. Her eyes were so intense. It was as if they were urging me to do something. Undress her with your eyes, maybe? Is that what this is going to do? The pedestrian signal turned green. Girl A and the rest of the crowd started walking forward. She was coming my way. I couldn't move. I was absolutely petrified. She didn't look away from me. Not even for a second. She just kept drawing closer and closer. Until she stopped right in front of me. My instincts were telling me to run. You know, you kind of rub me off as the hall monitor type of person for lack of a better description. If some of you guys know what some of you guys know what I mean. Either that or you're maybe a student council person. You definitely have that air about you. Yet for some reason I couldn't move an inch. It felt like my consciousness had left my body. The girl reached her hand into her jacket, aiming for one of her inner pockets. Her motions seemed deliberate, as if she wanted me to see what she was doing. Was she going for a knife? A pistol? A stun gun? Maybe I just watched too much TV, but I had a bad feeling that I just couldn't shake.
これ
Yes, me. Girl A began to whisper something. The gaze beneath her deep beneath her glasses was unflinching. She'd been staring straight into my eyes for what felt like an eternity.
落としましたよ
She held out something to me. A student ID. Wait a minute. Assuming this is actually happening, when I'm seeing everything that's happened that I'm seeing right now, and this whole thing isn't a complete delusion. Are you meaning to tell me that this whole time you've been following me around because at some point while I was on my way to school, I dropped my student ID? You sure take your sweet dear time returning things to people, don't you?
さっきのネットカフェで拾いました
That doesn't explain why you were following me earlier, though.
追いつくことができてよかった
I took the ID without much thought. The second I opened it, I saw my own name and photo. The ID was mine.
西條匠くんって言うんですね
Her expression, which had been stone cold until just a second ago, was now beginning to relax a little.
すいません勝手に中身を見ちゃって私も同じ学校なんですよろしく
Well, now's anticlimactic, probably because I made it that way. Guess my paranoia had been screwing with me after all, huh?
ところで西條くんは付き合ってる人いますか
Okay, now I know that this isn't actually happening. Cause who just comes out of the blue and approaches a stranger? Wait a minute, that's right, hookup culture is a thing. Never mind.
いません
本当ですかじゃあよかったら私と
Okay, I guess I got I got a better question. Who would come out of the blue to approach you of all people and ask you to go out on a date with them? You, not just you, a complete stranger, but you, Taku. New tip. Normie. Okay, now let's get the tip list out. Normie. People who find happiness and fulfillment in the real world. Markers of a normie include having lots of friends, having a girlfriend or boyfriend, participating in club and or school activities, going to parties, etc. Really? That's not exactly the definition of normie as I've understood it. To my understanding, normie is commonly referred to people who are whose perception is limited only to whatever they see in the real world and what they get from mass media, that sort of thing. So it's kind of like a limited perspective sort of thing that, yeah, I don't think I can really explain this my own definition well, come to think of it. Something I've never actually really thought about before, at least in a textbook definition kind of sense. Whatever. Maybe it's me who has been going around the wrong definition this whole time. a distinct possibility, for sure. A flag! Time for my new life as a normie to finally begin. You want to be a normie? At least going by this definition of normie? Now I know you're not yourself. I suddenly snapped out of it. Okay, lesson learned. Anytime I select a delusion trigger like this period, at least if this one and the previous one are anything to go by, anything that I'm bound to see happen within the next 3 minutes or so, more likely than not, isn't actually happening in any capacity. Maybe. Probably. Maybe I'll get proven wrong later on. That's also a possibility. I'm full of maybes and possibilities today. Nothing about me is certain. Shutting up now. I suddenly snapped out of it. The pedestrian signal, which I thought had turned green, was still red. And girl A, who should have been right in front of me, was now back on the other side of the street. Had that all been just a delusion? Seems like it. This time, the pedestrian signal actually turned green. All the pedestrians started crossing at once. Yeah, if I'm not careful with these delusion triggers, I guess I shouldn't be surprised if I actually make myself walk out into oncoming traffic one day. Need to be a bit careful. I couldn't move. And girl A didn't move either. She just stood there, staring me down from a distance. We were the only ones standing still, as if time had frozen for just the two of us. Why was the girl in glasses not crossing the street? Was she just standing there? Menacingly? It was strange. Really, really strange. I needed to stay away from her. I should just run. I'll just run straight home. Run! Whipping my weak, withering heart into shape, I broke into a sprint. I ran back down Dogenzaka, trying to put as much distance between me and girl A as I could. On the way, I turned to enter a back alley. Hold on a minute, you could be going down the same alley that you found that murder scene in. Well, murder, rather. It's not a scene. And right as I did, I crashed into something and toppled over. Pain shot throughout my entire body. I groaned, but not fully understanding what had just happened. The pain was so bad, I could hardly stand. Oh, shit. This is probably some delinquent's bike, isn't it? Am I about to be roughed up by somebody with a funny-looking pompadour? Looking up, I saw a big motor scooter lying on the ground. That must have been what I'd run into. I gritted my teeth and tried to force myself to my feet, but my legs just weren't able to hold me up. Well, it didn't seem like I'd broken any bones, at least.
大丈夫ですか?
Aw, you gave chase, and you're checking up on me. Maybe you don't have nefarious intentions over me after all. Over me? Towards me, I think was what I wanted to say. Yes, that. Before I knew it, girl A was right in front of me. She was peering into my face, eyes full of concern. What the hell is up with this girl? My body wouldn't move. As pathetic as it sounds, I was scared shitless. I had no idea what to do. My plan had been to catch a train ride to Shinsen and get home that way, but now I was starting to regret my life choices.
怪我してませんか?
Girl A asked me timidly. Was she acting all worried so I would drop my guard? You won't fool me. I won't fall for your tricks, you 3D wench.
なんなんだよ。ついてくるなよ。僕に何の用だ。
Panicking, I lashed out at Girl A, who just stood there in surprise. I tried scudding backward to make some distance, but I was still flat on my ass. Careful, man, if you push it against the pavement hard enough, you'll literally drag your ass all over it. I don't think people want to see brown marks on the pavement. If I didn't get away from her, she'd reach into her jacket, pull out a knife, and jump me. That was my thought process, anyway. That gruesome scene flashed through my mind over and over. All I could think was, that's how I'll end up. Now that's a sad face. I'm feeling sad just looking at it. The girl hung her head, looking a little hurt.
あなたが急に走り出して様子を見に来たら倒れてたので心配で。でも今は用事とかあるわけじゃないんですが、
If that's the case, then why have you been following me since this morning? She didn't want anything from me? What? That didn't make any sense.
じゃあなんで付きまとってくるんだ。
それは
Yes? She was getting flustered. I just couldn't get over how suspicious she was acting.
私楠木ユアって言います。
Kusunoki Yua. Nobody asked her to, but she suddenly started introducing herself anyway.
実はあなたのこと一目見てなんとなく存在が気になって、それでつい。
What? She just instinctively started stalking me? The girl, whose name was Yua apparently, kept lowering her gaze as she talked.
ごめんなさい。
She bowed her head vigorously. There's no way. That was the only thing on my mind. Taking another look at her, this Yua girl was pretty cute. I had to give her that much at least. Well, how about that? You can actually find 3D girls cute, huh? But that was exactly why I couldn't trust her. A 3D girl who wanted to interact with me? With good intentions? Be careful not to ever let your sister hear you say that out loud. You might hurt her feelings. What kind of a rogue was this? My whole life, nobody had ever said anything like that to me. Not even your sister, really. There was no way I could take her confession serious. Wait. No, think about it, you dummy. It'd be really weird if your sibling just came up and told you, I really want to get to know you. As though expressing romantic interest. Yeah, just ignore me. My brain is clearly short-circuiting a little bit more than usual today. I'm clearly in super dumb mode at the moment. It was just way too out of left field. What, did she think I'd be jumping for joy or something? Did she forget she'd been stalking me until just now? Sure, that kind of thing might work in the 2D world, but IRL, it was a certified boner killer. Also, this whole situation was really embarrassing. All I wanted was to get out of here ASAP. Just talking to her made me anxious. 3D really was total dog shit.
僕は三次元に興味はないよ。いや、め
I always stuttered when I tried to say something harsh. But I had to be clear. Don't follow me anymore. I don't like it.
迷惑だよ。つきまとわないでよ。
すいません。
She sure looked disheartened. Maybe she'd actually meant it. No, don't fall for it. You can't trust anything about 3D women. You can only trust 2D. You can trust 2D Saratan far more than this harlot.
もうついてこないでね。僕帰るから。
As nasty as hell temperament on the inside, with very funny ideas on how he thinks the world works, and a very arguably unhealthy obsession with the worlds of 2D of all kinds. But on the outside is a nervous, stuttering wreck who can't interact with most other people to save his life. Where, oh where have I seen someone like this before? As I mumbled incoherently, I tried as hard as I could to stand up. But I struggled. My body was still hurting all over the place. My collarbone in particular was being a real bitch. The pain was making me feel kind of dizzy. Might have hit my head when I'd fallen down earlier. I almost fell over again, but Yua caught my hand and stopped me.
怪我してるんですね。手貸します。
Sweet of you to offer. I tried really hard not to make eye contact. I could feel my face turning bright red. She'd definitely make fun of me if she noticed, so I turned away and forcefully shook her hand off. My mind was a total blank. I hardly, if ever, touched a female before. Except family members, of course. My heart was beating out in my chest.
お家まで送ります。あなたが怪我したのは私がつきまとっちゃったせいですから。だから送らせてください。
You sure you're not here to kill me? I felt really happy when Yua asked me that. I wasn't really used to being treated kindly by others. Your sister never treat you kindly? Every other 3D woman I had interacted with before was utterly vile, but this girl, I was actually starting to warm up to her a little bit. But I didn't have the courage to look her straight in the eye. I mean, she had been stalking me, and she also might have been related to the demon girl. But I didn't want to die, and I didn't want to die. All sorts of thoughts flew through my head, but I couldn't focus on any single one of them. My mind was a total blur.
お家どこですか？
深セン。
深セン？
I nodded, before instantly regretting it. Why the hell had I told her that? Was I expecting something to happen if I did? This had to be one of my delusions. Death flag! Maybe karma put me on a lucky streak, so it could just come beat me down later. You saw that cliche all the time in anime. This must have been some sort of death flag. Death flag, a metafiction term When a character triggers a death flag, they have said or done something that foreshadows their death. A common way to trigger a death flag is to make a promise on the eve of a climactic battle. For example, when this war is over, I'm going to get married. I see nothing wrong with that definition. Oh god, 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 oh god! Before I knew it, Yua was trying her best to prop me up of her shoulders. Her soft body was tightly pressed against mine, and I could smell a sweet scent coming from her long hair. Yes, I bet it's called shampoo. Something I'm sure you don't really use all that often. This couldn't be real. There was no way a 3D girl was being this nice to me. I nodded in response. Her voice almost sounded nervous. Then, with my head pointed down at the ground, I slowly started to walk. She'd done so much for me at this point, I couldn't turn her down or shake her off anymore. I was out of options. I just had to let her do as she pleased. Leaning on her delicate shoulder for support, the two of us got moving. Damn, I didn't get beat up by a delinquent after all. If anything, I find that more shocking. Neither of us said a word until we reached the building where my base was located. After all, there was no way I could hold a half-decent conversation with a girl, let alone one I didn't know. I knew that the second I bring up anime or video games, she'd automatically go, "Ew, what a freak," just like every other 3D girl. She wouldn't even bother listening or trying to understand. Well, look at it this way. You can use anime and manga as a litmus test. If any girl that you ever meet and ever entered any humble abode of yours ever saw anything in your anime collection and didn't react in a way that showed clear interest in it, that right there might be an indicator that maybe she's not a keeper. But if she does react with interest, she's probably a keeper. Maybe. If nothing else, it'll certainly filter out your dating pool a good bit. She wouldn't even bother listening or trying to understand. From my point of view, there was just no point in talking to bitches like that. That grumble was about all I could muster, and I looked at Yua to make sure she understood it. She gave me a gentle nod in response, then removed her arm from under me. I was still a little unstable, but I managed to stay upright. I completely ignored her suggestion and walked toward the lobby. Well, I say lobby, but it was really just a narrow entryway to the elevator hall. Still, the moment I lifted my foot to start climbing the small staircase leading up to it, a sharp pain ran through me, and I nearly fell over again. Yua rushed over to support me. Damn it, why was she still here? She sounded almost desperate. I hate to admit it, but Yua had been a huge help, and in the end, she had taken me all the way back to my base. Wait a fucking minute. Is that a washer and dryer and a sink and cabinet right next to the crate? Well, I guess that explains how he can do his laundry. To get there, first we had to go all the way up to the 8th floor, then take a steep flight of emergency stairs up to the roof. In my current state, there was no way I could ever possibly manage that alone. Yua wasn't strong in any sense of the word. She was very clearly running on fumes. And yet, she had helped me up the stairs as if her life depended on it.
こんなところに住んでるんですね。
If you are actually here to kill me, I gotta say, you are the kindest killer I have ran into in a long time. So, oh, that's what you said. Yua was left speechless when she saw my container house. No surprise there. Normal people would probably never believe someone could live in a container.
なんかその憧れます。
You know what? At first I wondered if you're here to kill me, but now I got an even bigger question. Are you actually from this planet? Are you human? Because I think 99% of humanity would strongly disagree with your opinion on living in a freaking shipping container. Just saying. It's a shipping container. What more needs to be said? It's barely any better than a giant hamster cage, hamster wheel included.
アウトローな感じがしていいですよね。こういうのって。
Rebelliousness is not the impression I get from when I look at a shipping container. But you do you, I guess. I mean, it's I guess it's your unique way of looking at things, and well, yeah, clearly we're on very different wavelengths, at least when it comes to shipping containers. I never thought she'd say something like that. Was she just trying to flatter me or something? You won't fool me, wench. I will never fall for a 3D girl's tricks. I don't know, I'd say you've been falling for them pretty hard so far. Once quite literally. With Yua still propping me up, we walked up to the container door, removed the padlock, and stepped inside. Phew. I was finally back. Today was another total catastrophe. This is why you really couldn't beat staying indoors.
真っ暗ですね。電気のスイッチはどこに？
Did she really not have any shame? Just coming to my room like this? I mean, to be fair, she had brought me all the way here on her shoulder. I don't know. I think you have even bigger shame just living in something like this. But I really didn't want her seeing the rest of the room if I could help it. I mean, I had dozens upon dozens of figures lined up on my shelves, piles of eroge boxes on my bed, and trash all over the floor.
もういいから、話して。
After I said that, I waited for Yua to let go of me. But she didn't budge.
床すごく散らかって、じゃなくて、歩きにくいと思うんですけど、絶対危ないです。ソファーまで行きましょう。そこで話しますから。
You are just the epitome of the Good Samaritan, aren't you? In the end, I just kept on doing whatever she said. The couch was covered in CDs and magazines, but Yua quickly cleared them out of the way. As quickly as she could while still holding me up anyway. As soon as she was finished, I sat right down. Man, she's just so sweet and caring. Wait, what am I saying? I'm not gonna fall for it. I'm not!
平気ですか？
The two of us were all alone in the room. It was almost pitch black, save for the tiny bit of moonlight shining through the open doorway. As a result, I couldn't tell what sort of expression Yua had on her face. On the bright side, though, hearing a girl breathing in the dark was pretty hot. Even though she's a 3D girl. Come to think of it, it was the first time anyone aside from my little sister had ever seen my room. Which meant it was the first time I had an actual girl up here. If this were a game, then I would have tripped some sort of flag. After that, soon enough, the mood would turn romantic, and before we knew it, we'd be all over each other. That said, I wasn't really expecting anything like that. Reality was complete and utter shit. It was nothing like the 2D world. And besides, this Yua girl wasn't normal. She was a stalker. So yeah. Wait, why was she still here? How long was she planning on staying? Her job was done, so shouldn't she be leaving now? That was when it hit me. Wait, no. Was her plan to get me alone in an isolated spot, then do something horrible to me?
明かりのスイッチは
パソコンの
パソコン
The only light source in the room was the desk lamp on my PC. I wanted to tell her to turn that lamp on, but I just couldn't get the words out.
そうか、あのデスクライトですね。
Yua carefully made her way over to my computer desk, avoiding all the garbage by her feet, then turned on the lamp. And then there was light. The darkness had put all sorts of embarrassing ideas and delusions in my head, and now that I could see Yua's face clearly, all those fantasies made it hard to look her in the eye without getting even more embarrassed than I already was. Panicked, I couldn't get any words out, so I just kept my head down. She shouted so suddenly that goosebumps shot across my skin. Her gaze was pointed straight at the Sierra Tan figure next to my monitor, who was striking her favorite sexy pose.
これってブラチューのセイラちゃんですよね。
Of course you know who she is.
知ってるの？
はい、ブラチューは大好きで毎週見てます。セイラちゃんがお好きなんですね。私もヒロインの中では彼女が一番好きなんですよ。衣装も可愛いですし。
New question. Rather than you being an alien, are you actually real, period? There are a lot of very funny coincidences I'm starting to notice here involving you and this and Taku here. Specifically relating to his interests and the sequence of events that he feels is unlikely to happen, happening right as he thinks those, and they all involve you. Like, are you actually real? Her voice was full of joy. She was clearly speaking genuinely. There was no way she was just trying to trick me. Who could have thought? Could Yua be a delusion?
Fujoshi.
Fujoshi. A term for female otaku with a particular interest in yaoi, or works of fiction that depict homosexual relationships between men. Does not apply to female otaku as a whole. But that doesn't even apply here. She wasn't even looking at anything that... She wasn't even looking at a male character or anything. What yaoi could possibly exist there?
あ、うん。
Well, maybe she just liked anime.
あれ、フィギュアって言うんですよね。ちょっと見せてもらってもいいですか？あ、すみません。ずうずうしいこと言っちゃって。もう帰った方がいいですよね。
She bowed repeatedly, clearly flustered.
見ていいよ。
Well, I couldn't say I didn't enjoy her laying the praise on my waifu, so I might as well be a little nice to her.
本当ですか？ありがとうございます。
Yua took Seira in her hand and started inspecting her closely.
それは山陽堂版の覚醒前バージョンなんだ。セーラフィギュアはいくつか種類が出てるけど、最初に出たやつ。
へえ。
あまりクオリティは高くないよ。顔とか微妙に崩れてるし、ポーズも平凡すぎてあんまりエロくないし。でも服の胸元部分をキャストオフできるのは今のところそれだけなんだ。
Of course they are. Cast off. A specification that allows for nudity, or semi-nudity in figures by designing certain parts, such as clothing, to be easily removable. This specification originated in 2006, and has only gotten more and more popular since.
胸元？
ちなみに僕はセーラフィギュアは4種類全部揃えてるよ。そっちの棚に制服バージョンとメイドバージョン、あと水着バージョンがある。
そんなに種類が。すごいですね。
一番評価が高いのはメイドバージョンなんだけど、個人的には水着バージョンも悪くないよ。
そうなんですか。見てみたいですね。でもちょっと暗くて。
もうすぐアルファから待望の覚醒後バージョンが出るんだけど、これはかなりクオリティ高そうなんだ。キャストオフも胸元だけじゃなくてほぼ全身可能だっていうし、表情もポーズも質感も言うことなしだね。あとはカラーさえバッチリなら今年発売されたフィギュアの中でも MVP 候補だよ。
アルファ？
メーカーだよ、フィギュアの。
ああ、なるほど。
Suddenly realizing what I'd done, I clamped my mouth shut. I've been rambling on for way too long. I'd gone off on a tangent about goddamn anime girl figures. Removable pieces, sexy poses. I bet I looked like a total idiot to Yua. You certainly look like one to me. But that's okay. I too can often be an idiot myself, so I won't be too harsh on you about it. I wanted to know what sort of face she was making, but I couldn't bring myself to look at her. Either way, though, it was obvious. She must have thought that I was total human trash. I started panicking. My heart was beating out in my chest. I tried to avert my gaze as far away as I could. But that's when she called out to me, and I reflexively turned back to look at her. Her expression. It wasn't actually full of horror and disgust like I expected.
さっき言っていた戦闘バージョンとかメイドバージョンも見せてもらっていいですか？
うん。そっちの棚に。
I was totally baffled. There wasn't a hint of anything on her face other than a wide, bright smile.
わあ、すごいですね。こんなにたくさん。
In fact, her eyes were sparkling as she looked at my shelves full of figures. No way. Were there actually 3D women that weren't disgusted by this stuff? Shocking revelation, isn't it, Taku? But yes, there are. They do exist. 3D women that also like the 2D. It must have been a 1 in a billion chance. But I suppose there were billions of people in the world.
あ、メイドセイラちゃんってこれですね。ふむふむ。アニメの印象とはちょっと違うけど、 すごく可愛いです下着までちゃんと作り込んであるんだ。こういうの実物で見たのは初めてですけど、いいですね。私も買ってみようかな。
だったら覚醒後バージョンを予約した方がいいよ。あれは絶対おすすめだから。
そうですね。あなたの話を聞いていたら、その覚醒後バージョンは本気で欲しくなりました。覚醒後って12話のあのシーンのことですよね。
よく知ってますな、お主。かなりのマニアですな。
はい、好きですから。特にあの時の覚醒シーンは毎日録画したものを見返してます。
あのシーンって演出と作画宮地なんだ。だからクオリティ高くて当然。
宮地？
そういう神クリエイターがいるんだ。あの人の演出はマジで神だよ。アットちゃんの実況版でも神来たってなるし。
そうなんですか。すごく知識が豊富なんですね。私、スタッフが誰かなんてまるで気にしてませんでした。
監督と演出と脚本はチェックしとくといいよ。特に新作なんかはそれを調べるだけで内容の良し悪しが大体予測できるし。
わかりました。今度からそうしてみますね。
As Yua said that, she turned to face me with another lovely smile. I made a girl smile. I never thought I'd see this kind of eroge stuff happen IRL, let alone to me. Usually, 3D women, including my little sister, only ever smiled when they were making fun of me. There had to be some kind of catch. There was just no other explanation. I couldn't forget what Saratan had told me. Till then, you can't trust anyone. Don't listen to anything that anyone says.
こんなこと聞いていいかどうかわからないんですけど。
何？
What, you want one of his figures? Yua got all shy out of nowhere. She was looking down and avoiding eye contact.
聞かせてもらってもいいでしょうか。あなたのお名前。
Oh.
名前？
Now she'd mentioned it. Yua had introduced herself to me, but I'd never returned the favor.
西條匠。
I was a little embarrassed, so I ended up weakly mumbling it out.
西條匠くんですね。何年生
？2年。
私は3年。私の方が年上さんですね。
You heard the lady. You better address her as your senpai. I'm gonna go with another green. Oh man, I was getting dizzy from how moe that sounded. Could Yua be the kind older sister type? Damn it, trying to seduce me and shit. This woman was dangerous. She must be up to something.
それで西條くんにお願いがあるんです。
Do you now? Quest? Seriously?
私、あなたのことが好きなんです。
Okay, your delusional confession aside here, one detail that really stands out to me whenever these delusions happen is I see brief flashes of what look like images of writing pass by each time they happen. And I have a feeling that those are important, whatever those writings are.
ずっと西條くんのこと見てました。もう見てるだけじゃ嫌なんです。
Yua's face turned bright red, and right after her sudden confession, she abruptly started undressing. Oh, hello. I was so bewildered, I could hardly bring myself to even peek at her. But when I did, I noticed she just wasn't taking off her top, but also her skirt. Her underwear flickered in and out of sight beneath the hem of her blouse. It was black. Now hold on a minute, Taku. I thought 3D women weren't your thing. If anything, this is showing to me that you are a liar. That you do indeed have a lusting for 3D girls after all. Being so bold, despite being clearly embarrassed. Sure, it was a huge turn-on for me, but... things were happening so suddenly, my mind could hardly keep up. It took all my strength just to swallow the saliva that had built up in my mouth. Although then again, thinking about it now, to be fair, maybe you were telling the truth this whole time, but only now that you found someone who seems to be like a match made in literal otaku heaven with you, now you're suddenly developing a 3D boner. Next, Yua started fiddling the buttons on her blouse. She was undoing them, one by one, from top to bottom. Then, almost as if trying to tease me, wait, she's wearing a swimsuit! She slowly, ever so softly, dropped her blouse to the floor. And for some reason, underneath it, she was wearing a competition swimsuit. Wait a minute! I remember now. Wasn't I talking to some friend of mine online about this swimsuit thing in the first episode? Were the choices that I made then somehow reflecting what I'm seeing here and right now? It was a high-leg swimsuit, and it was skin tight, with the way it pressed in on her body. A little bit of her thighs spilled out over the edges. So, those dark-colored panties I caught glimpses of earlier were actually a swimsuit? GJ. Man, how did a girl this timid have boobs this huge? Another thing, she didn't take her high knee socks off. GJ Yua. That's the right choice. High socks. Wait a minute. Short for good job. Used on the internet as an expression of admiration for a job well done. Wait. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I also said something about socks too, right? Then in that case, then I guess, yeah. Looks like my choices then are impacting what I'm seeing now. But wait, I also just remembered another thing. I also made him say that girls in glasses were cute, right? So here's a girl in front of me wearing swimsuit choice that I've highlighted, also wearing glasses. You're not real, are you? You're some really weird delusion that I'm experiencing right now. I don't know if I'm actually onto something here, and you are in some kind of delusion. Would that really be any different than just masturbation, really, if I'm just screwing something that isn't real? It was pretty strange for a 3D girl to say all this stuff to a guy she just met. No sane girl would do that. Sure, it was sexy, but it wasn't even remotely moe. My sense of reason threatened to completely shatter right then and there, and I struggled desperately to keep it contained. While I was lost in my usual delusions, Yua suddenly had a huge fall and landed flat on her rear. She rubbed her butt while on the verge of tears.
すみません CD を踏んづけちゃったみたいですケース割れたかも
Uh-oh.
本当にごめんなさい私きちんと片付けますから
Sorry about that. Just get out of here already. You've done enough. What the hell was that request you mentioned earlier? Yua started cleaning up the trash and CD cases lying all over the floor, even though I told her that she didn't have to. She looked so apologetic, it almost made me feel guilty. Like I had done something wrong.
じゃあ足の踏み場だけでもその確保させてくださいすいませんその後でお願い言いますから
But the way she just instantly started cleaning up, and thoroughly at that, she reminded me somewhat of my mom. Not caring the slightest about what may cause problems for other people, rushing straight into doing whatever she pleased. You know, the typical meddler. In that case, I should probably start helping her, shouldn't I? Yes, you should. We both reached for a piece of trash at the same time. Our hands would touch, and we'd both say, "Ah!" Then we'd stare into each other's eyes, just soaking in the glow of the moment. Right? Wrong! The fuck do you think this is? Some kind of rom-com? Well, clearly we're in one right now. No way in hell was I helping her. While in the middle of piling up magazines, Yua suddenly stopped. Her back was turned, so I couldn't tell what she just picked up. Probably an eroge.
いえ気にしないでください
What was she getting so nervous about? Something about it made me suspicious. Come to think of it, she was essentially ransacking my room at this point. What if she was trying to steal something? Maybe she was just thinking I had so many figures I wouldn't notice if one went missing? But little did she know, she was dead wrong! I'd perfectly memorized every single waifu on that shelf. If even a single one went missing, I'd be able to tell in a nanosecond.
フィギュアには触らないでね
はいいえ違うんですその村中の同人誌っていうんですかそれが落ちてましてちょっと中身を見てみたら
My Bloodtoon dojins? Shit. They're all porn.
すごかったのでびっくりしました
勝手に見ないでよ
すいません
Yua began tidying up again, nervous as ever. Shortly after, she quickly cleared a space to sit down, and then turned toward me.
それでさっき言ったお願いですけど
Finally. I gulped, then instinctively braced myself for impact.
さっき言ったフィギュアの予約一緒に行ってもらえませんか私そういうアニメショップみたいなところって今まで行ったことなくてで私なんだかすごくぶしつけのお願いしてますよねすいません
Wait a minute. You like anime, but you've never actually once gone to an anime shop before? That to me seems strange.
私のせいで西条くんは怪我をしたのに
This was some dangerous territory. I couldn't afford to just blurt out an answer. On one hand, you and I had shared interests. Hell, she was even a fan of Sierra. She also seemed very interested in what I had to say, which meant she was someone I could get along with as an otaku. But on the other hand, it had to be some sort of trap. There was just no way in hell something like this, something so perfect, would actually happen to me in real life. It was an eroge cliche, nothing more. I couldn't let 3D corrupt me. Think, Takumi, think. What the hell could Yua's true goal be?
すいません。今のお願いは忘れてください。私、西条くんがいろいろ話してくれるのが、嬉しくて。
Yua sat there with her head hung low. Pretty much every 3D girl ever was insanely full of themselves, and meanwhile, this girl was remarkably timid. And there was no way a 3D girl could be so pretty and have such a cute personality. Everyone knew that. Meaning, she had to be faking it. I'd turn her down. I'd gather all my strength, all the power vested in me as a man, and shoot her down! As Yua looked up at me, I saw tears welling up behind her glasses. Wait, was she crying? Was it because I wasn't saying anything? Had I just made her cry? Oh no. Give me a break. What a life or death situation. I'd never experienced anything like this outside of video games. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I was even starting to feel a little guilty. They say that women weaponize their tears, but only now is that really starting to ring true for me. Honestly, I had absolutely no clue how to deal with it. I was getting more and more nervous by the second. We can go together, I tried to say, but ultimately, I couldn't bring myself to. Because if I did, surely she'd just say something like, "Ew, this dumbass actually took it seriously? What a freak." Call it a persecution complex, but that was how I felt. I just couldn't do it. Or you could just be like me and just not give a shit what people think of you and your hobbies, and, well, suddenly find yourself being a lot happier about yourself.
無理してくれなくていいです。私のわがままに西条くんを付き合わせるのは良くないですし。
Her eyes seemed even more wet than before. I saw a single tear dripping out of the corner of her eye.
行くよ。
言ってもらえるんですか?
I had no choice but to nod. I couldn't think of any other way to make her stop crying. Still, it felt like I was stepping right into a trap. Yua seemed incredibly relieved. She took a deep breath, took off her glasses, and wiped away her tears.
断られて当然だと思ってたのに。西条くん、ありがとうございます。
Huh. She was thanking me. Seemed like I've been able to stop her from completely breaking down. Maybe I should be the one thanking her. Shit. How did I get myself into such a mess? Goddamn 3D women. You can never let your guard down around them.
行くとしたらいつがいいでしょう?
Hold on. Where the hell had her sad-looking expression gone? Only a second had passed, and she was already looking happy as a clam. Those really were crocodile tears, weren't they? If so, she should win a fucking Academy Award.
セイラちゃんの新しいフィギュアはもうすぐ発売なんですよね。
分きっとすぐに完売しちゃうだろうね。
だったら早めに行った方が良さそうですね。明日とか。
According to my schedule, I need to go to school tomorrow. That made it 3 times the total this week. Then, the week after, I'd only have to go twice. I had a feeling that tomorrow was going to suck even more than usual. But I'd already told Yua I'd go with her. If I tried changing my mind now, she'd start the waterworks all over again. Ugh. I really had no choice here, huh?
わかったよ。
I was incredibly reluctant, but still, I agreed. Yua seemed happy to hear that. But she couldn't fool me with that face of hers.
西条くんは何組？明日放課後に迎えに行きますよ。
B 組。
2年 B 組ですね。じゃあ授業が終わったら待っててください。
I nodded quickly in response, hoping that'd make her leave faster. Wait, I just made a promise to hang out with a girl? Was this a dream? A delusion? I pinched my cheek to test that theory. It definitely hurt.
それじゃあ長い間お邪魔しちゃってすいませんでした。足もし痛かったらお医者さんに行ってくださいね。
あ、うん。
I sat on the couch and watched Yua leave. She turned around and waved goodbye, then exited out the front door.
西条くん、また明日。
また明日だってさ。しかも手を振ったりして。
I felt like I was about to melt with bliss, so I quickly stiffened back up.
あの女絶対僕に惚れてる。間違いないね。ま、付き合うか付き合わないかは僕に選択肢があるわけだし、あの女を情け容赦なく振ってやるさ。お前は僕の女にふさわしくない。セイラよりいい女になって出直してこい。まあ一生無理だけどな。何しろセイラは永遠の17歳だからな。みたいな。
You know what? I would actually pay you real money to see you say that. There was no way any girl could ever be better than Saratan. I picked up the Sarah figure and rubbed her against my cheek. And Saratan couldn't have looked happier. It's a broken smile.
おっと、時間か。今のところテストに出るからな。ちゃんとノート書いておけよ。今日はここまで。
You sure sound passionate about your job.
起立。ねえ。
The math teacher. Wait, what was his name again? Well, whatever. The teacher left the classroom. And that was the end of classes for the day. Some students started chatting about where they'd go after school. Those who were in clubs gathered with their fellow members and headed for their club rooms. And the rest were just getting ready to go home ASAP. I was in the last camp. As soon as the bell rang, I was always the first to pack up and leave. But today, I stayed glued to my seat, trying to avoid eye contact of any of my classmates. My anxiety was killing me. After all, my date with Yua was very soon. Any normal, non-video obsessed person would have been losing their mind to have a date with a girl planned. Vidya? Net slang, short for video games. Typically used on message boards such as @channel. But this was me we were talking about. I couldn't feel any more depressed. And that is why you're a loser. I couldn't relax at all. I was feeling physically sick. This would be the first time I'd ever gone on a date with a girl, so I had no clue what to do. There's a first time for everything. But here's the thing. This isn't your first time for that thing. This ain't an actual date. Besides, would Yua even show up? Maybe she'd just been fucking with me yesterday, and she planned on standing me up. She was probably watching from the shadows right now, giggling at how gullible I was. Well, now that I thought about it, that honestly might be better than her actually showing up. Wait, did I really just have to sit around waiting? I mean, I could just blow her off and go home. Alright, it's settled. Time to head home. We were in different grades anyway, so if I just canceled our date at the last minute, I'd never have to see her again for the rest of my life. You go to the same school. That plan's already doomed to fail. Fully determined to follow through with that plan, I stood up. Hello? Out of nowhere, my back fell victim to a hard slap. I knew who was behind me without even looking. The only guy in the class who ever talked to me. None other than Misumi-kun.
お前帰らないのか？いつもならチャイムが鳴ると同時に消えるのによ。俺密かに匠の音速直帰って名付けてたんだぜ。
もう帰るよ。
誰か待ってるとか。
え？
Perceptive. How the hell did he know?
なんだよ、図星かよ。
どうして？
なんだかやけにそわそわしてたからな。教室の入り口をさっきから何度も気にしてるし。
He was good. No, you're just obvious. Either way, I probably shouldn't say anything that'd make me stand out too much. Don't you forget, Takumi. You've got to be invisible at this school. You gotta blend in. Be like air.
別に誰も待ってないよ。
そうか？だったら今の間はなんだよ。
それは。
Fuck. Misumi-kun wasn't a bad guy. But at times like these, he could really get fucking annoying. Take a hint, FFS. FFS, net slang, short for fuck's sake. Way to express exasperation.
西条くん
There she is. Shivers ran down my spine. I slowly turned my head toward the voice. Yua was standing by the classroom door, looking apologetic. Oh, God damn it. Because of Misumi-kun, I lost my chance to escape. Thank you, Misumi-kun, for foiling his plan.
おい、なんだりゃ？どういうことだ？
Misumi-kun looked unusually shocked. In fact, he was literally shaking. He put his arm around my shoulder and gave me a stern look.
おい、タク、どういうことか説明しろよ。お前の彼女か？
違うよ。
How many times have I told you, Misumi-kun? I'm not into 3D.
だったら何なんだよ。言っとくが、タクの姉ちゃんとかそういうオチは期待してねえからな。引きこもりのくせに何をどうやったらあんないい女と知り合えるんだ。
昨日急に付きまとわれて。
それはつまりあれか？逆難されたってことか？え？この
He put his hand on his chin, pondering for a moment. Then he finally let me go.
そうか。世の中には物好きってのもいるんだな。 けどタクがまともな性癖を持ってたみたいで少し安心したぜ。
性癖って、それに彼女とは別に何も。
そうかそうか、頑張れよタク。
Misumi-kun wasn't taking me seriously at all. He just got all excited over his own assumptions and slapped my back even harder than before. Ugh. At this point, he was just screwing with me.
安心しろって。お前の女を寝取ったりしねえから。
だからそういう関係じゃ。
ほら、さっさと行けよ。彼女、お待ちかねみたいだぜ。
Misumi-kun ordered me to move, so I stumbled over to Yua. Despite my best efforts, I hadn't been able to escape.
迎えに来たの迷惑でした？
いや。
Yes, you fucking are. I turned to look at Misumi-kun, but he just grinned and gave me the finger. Honestly, I couldn't tell whether he was trying to pick a fight or cheer me on. I couldn't deal with his shit any longer, so I decided to just hurry up and leave with Yua.
すいません。昨日会ったばかりなのにこんなお願いをしてしまって。
いや。
I was so nervous. I was leaving school together with a 3D girl. Was I a normie now or what? I always felt like this was all in a completely different world from mine. I never would have thought I'd get to experience something like this. But now I was feeling the intense pressure of Yua's silence. We were just walking side by side, not even talking. So why was this so stressful? And to top it all off, I really didn't know who Yua was, or what her goal was. What did she want from an otaku freak like me?
おとといの。はい。
いや。
She started talking to me out of nowhere, so I got surprised, and that weird sound I made just came out. Yua also seemed really nervous. Her expression was so tense. She was older than me, so how was she still so innocent? How surprisingly moe. Then again, I probably wasn't the best person to be talking about innocence. At least you're self-aware on that. Since I could hardly manage more than a quick sidelong glance at her. I was too embarrassed to take a proper look at her face. I just couldn't do it.
おとといのブラチュー見ましたよね。
うん。
私一箇所だけいまいちよくわからないところがあったんですけど、すすぶくんがセイラちゃんのピンチに駆けつけてきて助けてくれますよね。でもどうしてすすむくんはセイラちゃんが危ないって分かったのかなって。
あれは先週の回に伏線があったんだ。セイラの携帯が鳴ってるシーンが一瞬だけ挿入されてて、着信表示で進むの名前が出てる。
そういえばそんなシーンありましたね。
山田はそういう細かい伏線をあちこちに貼るのが好きなんだ。キンゴルでも似たようなことをやってた。
山田キンゴル？
いや、山田っていうのはブラチューの監督の愛称だよ。で、山田がブラチューの前に監督やってたアニメがキンゴル。
へえ、じゃあ山田さんって有名な監督さんなんですね。
まあ僕は好きな方かな。なんでかっていうと、
I wonder what Pink Hair is doing. I would have thought I would have run into her by now, to be honest. So I'm kind of surprised that I haven't. I've been lecturing Yua about the various facets of anime, when I realized we were already in front of Animate. Time flew by way faster than I expected. I'd let myself get carried away and talked way too much. Well, it didn't help that Yua was such a good listener. She paid such close attention while I shared my wisdom. I couldn't help but want to tell her everything I knew, even though I knew I was falling right into her trap. All this, and yet I wasn't even good at talking. This was the first time I'd ever felt this way. I was talking out loud, but it felt like I was chatting online. It was a strange feeling.
なんだかドキドキしてきました。先に帰ったりしないでくださいね。
Yua only got more and more nervous as she went up and spoke to the store employee. It was clear that she was out of her comfort zone, but all I could do was just stand there and watch as she placed a pre-order for the post-awakening version Sarah figure. There weren't any opportunities to escape. Yua kept anxiously glancing back at me, so I couldn't budge an inch. Right after that, she even forced me to look around the store with her. Yua was looking all around with a big grin on her face, saying things like, "Wow, there's not enough money in the world to buy all these figurines." But even in the face of all that enthusiasm, I just couldn't find it in me to smile back at her. So apparently, Yua took the train to school, which meant I had to accompany her all the way to Shinsen Station. McDonald's hamburgers? I guess it's at least closer to the real name than Yakdonald's. Somewhat. She might not look it, but she was a devious one, all right. She always managed to get her way, all without making herself look even remotely selfish. Clever girl. Talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing. Wolf in sheep's clothing, an archetype that refers to someone who is far more sinister than they may appear. They are often characterized by a black heart, plagued with malicious thoughts, a large gap between their outward personality and actual personality, and a general sense of ill will toward others. It appears that there are some people who are attracted to these factors that are, for all intents and purposes, negative. Mm-hmm.
西条くんって携帯は持ってないんですか?
Once we reached the station, Yua suddenly asked me that question. Well, I would have one if I had just been a good boy and followed my sister to the phone store. But no, I had to be a confrontational, combative little prick and say nay. So no, I don't have one. A cell phone? I shook my head weakly.
持ってないんですか? それじゃ連絡が取れないですね。
連絡?
Why the hell would she want to stay in touch? What? Was she going to demand that I texted her about every little thing for the rest of my life?
でも西条くんパソコン持ってましたよね。私も持ってるからメールアドレスを交換しませんか?
どうして?
そのフィギュアの発売日に取りに行かなくちゃいけませんよね。その時にまた一緒に。まだ一人でアニメ8に行く勇気はないから。
She was good.
それに
She was way too good.
私西条くんと
I knew she had her claws in me, but I just couldn't turn her down. If I did, I'd look like the bad guy.
もっと
3D was the scariest fucking thing in the world.
仲良くなりたいから。
How is she doing this? Was it just because I was bad at talking to people? Or was she just too good? Either way, Yua seemed intent on not leaving until she had my email. Yet at the same time, I could sense a bit of unease behind those glasses of hers. I could practically feel my will to resist draining from my body. There were goosebumps all over my body, shivers running down my spine. But I couldn't run away, and I couldn't turn her down. There was definitely something up with Yua. This aura she had. It wasn't normal. I couldn't really put into words exactly what it was that bothered me so much. But whatever it was, something wasn't right. Before I knew it, I tore out a scrap of notebook paper, written down my email address, and handed it to her. She took it, looking happy as can be, then quickly bowed her head and disappeared into the station. It felt like my soul had left my body. I just stood there, completely dumbfounded. Even after 10 minutes passed, I couldn't move an inch. Well, we got 2 people in the chat. Who are we talking to? So, what do you make of all this? Of her? Because personally, I don't have the slightest clue. There's no way she doesn't have ulterior motives or something. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. Hey, you listening? Grim? What a rogue is this? I guess he shares your disbelief. Although to be fair, I kind of do too myself to an extent. That night, I decided to consult Grim about Yua. I figured I might as well. If I just kept my paranoia to myself, I wouldn't get anywhere. And that was the response I'd gotten. Well, not like I could blame him. The first time I'd spoken with Yua, I reacted the exact same way. It was stupid of me to think you'd be any help, Grim. Now, wait 1 fucking second. You were being serious. You actually managed to raise a flag with someone. You really have a way of getting whatever you want, huh? LOL! Now, who said you were into 3D again? It's not like that, dude. Grim's reaction was almost identical to Misumi-kun's. Were they the same person or something? Now that would be a hilarious plot twist. Well, for a turbo virgin like you, Neidhart, now that you have a girl, it should be easy to leave Utakudom behind and lose your V card. You gotta be careful though. If you start talking to her about your school swimsuit fetish, she'll dump your ass. So use common sense. What's wrong with... Nice notification. Not gonna lie. It suits you. You big dum-dum. Anyway, what's wrong with a school swimsuit fetish? This guy's hopeless. I better do something quick. I agree. You need to euthanize him. So, what do we have now? This guy's hopeless. A quotation from a popular manga about death notes. Spoken by a protagonist in reference to his foolish accomplice. The full quote is, "This guy's hopeless. I better do something quick." Used to express exasperation. Out of nowhere. Oh? Out of nowhere, I heard Saratan's voice. That was my custom email notification sound. I usually went to check my email, and the sender's name was Kusunoki Yua. Well, look who it is. I got an email. Just now. Whoop! There it is! This is the first time I'd ever gotten an email from a 3D girl. I gulped and clicked to open it. Let's see what we got here. Good evening. This is Kusunoki. I sent this email as soon as I was able to. I would appreciate if you added me to your address book. My apologies for making you accompany me today. Sorry. Even so, I still had a lot of fun. Perhaps because it was my first time going to a store like that. Or maybe it was because Nishijo-kun was with me. Lol. What time will you be coming into school tomorrow, Nishijo-kun? Oh, I'm only asking because I was hoping I'd be able to say hello tomorrow morning, that's all. It'd be nice if we could run into each other again tomorrow. Well, I'll be sure to email you again soon. Good night. If she really isn't faking any of this, I gotta say, she is just such a peach. A good peach. The best peach. The only peach that should matter to someone like you, Takumi. Treat the peach with kindness. Yua's usual elegance and purity shone through the email. And by using a lot of emoticons, she gave it a bit of a friendly tone, too. But when she said things like, maybe it was because Nishijo-kun was with me, or I was hoping I'd be able to say hello tomorrow morning, I just couldn't help but feel like she was up to something. Post it now! It's tame. Chill the fuck out. Just usual greetings and shit. What? Hey, I wasn't done reading that. Whatever, Bo. Just post it already. Good evening. This is blank. I sent this email as soon as I... Okay, you're just... Come on, man. This is a private correspondence. Grim wouldn't stop pestering me, so I just gave up and posted the entire email. He only just pestered you again once. Show some backbone. Though I did censor mine Yua's personal information, at least. Oh, would you look at that lovey-dovey email? Kiss, Neinhardt, you normie scum. Please take this seriously. This must be some kind of trap. Yeah, how tight that tinfoil hat you got on. You sure you're not overthinking it? It just looks like you raised the flag with this chick to me. You're almost at the good end already. That's what I mean. There's no way this is real. You think this could happen to an otaku freak like me? There's no way. You think a cute girl would try to pick me up, IRL? Dude, are you seriously complimenting your girlfriend already? Could you quit trolling for 1 second? Come on, I already told you. You're just overthinking it. We're two of a kind, aren't we, Nineheart? We both know good girls like that don't exist anymore. Yeah, I was fully aware. But she really was just that nice. And that's exactly what didn't feel right to me. Well, maybe her stalking shit went a bit too far. But that's kind of hot, don't you think? Lol. I disagree. It means she really, really likes you. And you said she likes anime too. Yeah, no such way a perfect girlfriend exists, bro. Not for us, Otaku, anyway. Lamau. Just don't go ruining her with your degenerate shit. Too late. She already looked at my porn mags. Well, that might not be so bad. Sorry, Jujoshi, I believe the word was. No, scratch that. That was exactly what I wanted. Still, cheer up a bit. She made the first move, bro. I'm not into 3D. You say that, but we both know you really... You say that, but we both know you really want to go out with her. Am I right? If you want to de-otakify yourself, now's your chance. Lol. You won't get a second one and you know it. Congrats, you're popular now. Won't last long, so don't let it go to waste. Just keep calm and go on the attack. Just be Nineheart IRL. You can do it. You got the green light, bro! If I could just do it, I wouldn't be going through so much turmoil. Like, I'd realized something when I was talking with Yua the other day. Sure, there were a couple of moments where I had fun or felt happy, but aside from that, I just felt annoyed and completely exhausted. If that was what I had to go through with every IRL interaction, then I'd honestly rather just live in the 2D world, where I could do whatever I wanted. And that was why I decided not to reply to Yua's email. Jerk. A fire burned bright into the sky. Scorching red cinders danced around the incinerator. The flame was fueled by a sailor-style school uniform, along with countless textbooks. On a foothill overlooking the Sento Inland Sea, a girl stood in her home's garden. The steam whistles of boats echoed in the distance, and the nearby trees gently swayed in the refreshing sea breeze. In the midst of such a serene scene, the girl, Orihara Kuzue, stood still and alone in front of the incinerator, bathing in the somber ambience of its cinders. The girl's gaze was locked onto the school uniform and textbooks as they were slowly reduced to ashes, each becoming clad in a crimson glimmer. Until only yesterday, they had been her school uniform and her textbooks. Despite having lit the fire herself, the girl did not move from the spot, perhaps out of a lingering sense of regret. That too only lasted a moment. She suddenly knitted her eyebrows and covered her ears as hard as she could. She gasped in agony. And yet, she did nothing more. The girl did not moan, nor did she raise any tearful complaints. All she let out was a series of ragged breaths. She shook her head repeatedly from side to side, as if to express a fierce, visceral objection. And as she did, her strength slowly started to crumble, and she collapsed to the ground. She fell on her backside with a thud, let her jaw droop as if utterly exhausted, and looked up to the sky with a dazed expression on her face. Minutes later, she was still in that exact same position, not having moved a single muscle. Until suddenly, she turned around with conviction, as if she had heard someone call out to her. She looked toward the house's porch. The wooden house had been built over 50 years ago, so despite it being daytime, it appeared quite dim. Anything beyond the porch could hardly be seen. Kozue slowly stood back up and walked over to the porch. And at that very moment, her mother appeared with impeccable timing.
あら、梢ちゃん、探してたのよ。もう荷物の整理はできたの？
Kozue promptly nodded and slowly sat down.
あさってにはもうこの家ともお別れなのね。
Her mother took a seat next to her, gazing toward the inland sea with a gentle look in her eye.
東京なんて行くの、梢ちゃんは初めてよね。いいお友達ができるといいわね。
Despite her mother's caring words, Kozue did not nod, nor even shake her head in response. She simply remained silent, gazing wistfully toward the still burning incinerator in the corner of the garden. Another new character. I wonder what her role is going to be in all this. Then again, I'm not even sure what Yua's role in this is right now either. The mysteries. Some remain, while new ones will continue to pop up. Maybe sometime soon I'll start getting some answers to some of my questions as to who some of these people are, what they want, and what exactly is going on around town in relation to these new gen murders. But although I imagine it'll probably be a good while yet before I have any semblance of an actual idea of what new gen is really all about. So I'm probably more likely to figure out the other mysteries first, before new gen. So, I felt particularly mentally impaired today. Maybe it could be due to lack of proper sleep, or maybe today is just one day where my brain just decided not to function 100%. But either way, despite me probably coming off as more of a fool than I usually do, I do hope that you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Chaos Head Noah. If you did, and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel, give the video a like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Take care.